Welcome to the Girls Abroad podcast with Jordy and Santi.
We've been living abroad for the last 2 years. We share our highs and lows, our tips and tricks, and life in our 20s.
Welcome to episode 3 of the Girls Abroad podcast. This episode, we're going to get into teaching abroad. So if you're thinking of moving abroad, if you're a teacher, you've got a bachelor's degree, you've got 3 years experience, you could teach in an international school and live overseas. And if that's the case, this is the episode for you, the application process. You want 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Some schools let you come straight out of uni.
Yeah. The only thing is with that, just be careful, especially if you're a New Zealand teacher, try to get your registration first. Because if you've got those 2 years under your belt and you can apply for your registration, you can come back to New Zealand teaching. Whereas if you go straight out from uni and you've got your qualification, which is fine, a lot of countries and schools just prefer that. But if you're going back to New Zealand to teach, you need your registration. So, yeah, just be careful of that if you're a New Zealand teacher and if that's where you're wanting to end back up.
The next thing is you're going to want to get 3 good references. And you want them to be good.
Whether you put your principal on it or not, the school is going to contact them. So check them on, let them know that you're applying. Even if you don't have a good relationship with your principal, they're going to get contacted. So just be careful.
Yeah, definitely talk to them beforehand.
Speaking from past experience.
Speaking from experience.
Fair enough.
To be fair, I wasn't planning on leaving like the school that I was at. I'd applied to another school out of curiosity. And then my principal called me and like, you really need to be like keeping me in the loop. I was like, I am so sorry.
I don't even think I'm in the loop right now.
I was like 21 or something. Blame it on my age.
You live and you learn.
Also, you're going to want to get onto Search Associates, I would say. There are a number of teacher recruitment companies, but I feel like Search is it's just a good one. Like, it's reliable, trustworthy. They're going to take care of you. Yeah. There are different leaders for different parts of the world. So we personally know like the Australasian leaders, Nick and Paula Kendall, and they're amazing and they take care of their candidates really well. There's a couple hundred fee sign up, and then you're given a whole list of schools that are looking for teachers. From there, you put in your 3 good references, and you actually also need a parent reference. So you do really want to have those relationships going in your school, regardless of if you're applying overseas, but it does help.
There are other ways to go around the application process because I only just use Search, but previously I was really proactive. I was really, really wanting to leave. There's so many different sites that you can look on, but I wouldn't apply through them. I would actually then go to the school's website and send my CV and my cover letter and like a blurb about me to them specifically, directly.
Yep.
If you're not paying for a subscription like Search, you need to put in the effort. A lot of schools who are on Search Associates, they prioritize their search candidates over anyone else who's applying.
Right.
So if you're then applying through a different platform, you're then lumped in with another bunch of people. So if you were to do an extra little route around, you stand out a little bit more. But I think Search Associates, like you say, it's just a little bit more comforting knowing that someone else has got your back.
Yeah, you build a relationship with the recruiter and they get to know you and they'll be able to suggest the best place for you. They'll be able to kind of suggest to the schools what candidates would be best for your role because everybody's different. Maybe someone's single, maybe someone has 2 kids, and your life's going to look different in each country. I do have to say, I think Kiwi teachers have a good rep. I don't know if it's the curriculum.
I think it's our teacher training. And we are built up on really tricky situations that we have to handle. Like in New Zealand, we're looking at 30 plus children in a class and you've got
a range of socioeconomic.
Yeah. And that changes behavior. It changes management techniques. You don't get nearly as much release as you probably need when you're working with that many children in such a high stress environment. Yeah. So teachers in New Zealand, they do a good job. because they're so used to a really tricky.
They're resilient.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're resilient, but they're quite easygoing as
Yeah,
well. Like we've got a bit of banter, we know how to make joke of something, but
Yeah.
we also
We can
know
work
how
hard.
to. Yeah. So if you're thinking of applying, what job packages to look for and what to expect.
Yeah. So I think, like you said, it will really depend on you as a person. And if you're single, you will be looking for a different package as if you were a teaching couple. If you've got a family, you're looking for different things as well. So no dependents. You're wanting obviously a higher salary than whatever you're on. That's like the first thing you look for. Then you want to look for things like your housing. Do you get an allowance or do they put you into a housing place? You're also wanting to look at your repatriation flights. Is the school going to fly you from your home country to this new country and pay for your flights? How often are they going to provide you with that opportunity as well? So a lot of schools will do yearly. Some other schools also do at the end of each contract, which might be 2 years.
Another thing is medical insurance.
Yes.
Depending on the country. For example, in Singapore, you need insurance. So you want a school that's covering your insurance and you want to look at how much they're covering as well. Some schools will give you like a wellness benefit. So like $1,000 a year, for example, to spend on
gym memberships.
Running shoes, whatever you want. But our advice, the standard package to look for would be a salary. Look at the savings potential. That's another good thing about Search is it provides you with the savings potential. So you'll have an idea of how much you can save. So there's the salary. Do you get a housing allowance? Search up the housing market before you go.
Oh, yeah.
Does it cover?
Yeah. Are you going to be finding a place within your budget or within the allowance that you're going to be happy living in for 2 years?
And also, how far is your accommodation from the school? Like, if it's super expensive to live near the school, bring in transportation costs. It sounds really complicated, but you do need to sit down and really think about this.
Yes.
And when we're saying all of this, we mean the Middle East and Asia, really. The next part is about the documents that you want to prepare before you move overseas. So let's say an offer comes through, a school wants you to come work for them. Now begins the
onboarding process.
The onboarding process, exactly.
Yeah, so you will then work very closely with the HR team. They will most likely need a copy of your degree and a copy of your transcripts, just so that they know you're legit.
The next thing is police clearance. So in New Zealand, that was actually the easiest country to get it from. It was fantastic. Went down to the police station. One of the cops signed it. Boom, you're done.
Wow, you went down?
I went to
I
Onerahi
just applied
Police.
online.
Why the hell did I make that journey? So for me, because you have to get a police clearance for the last 10 years sometimes, and holy hell, at that time when I left New Zealand, in the last 10 years, I'd lived in Egypt, Germany, and New Zealand. So your girl had to get police clearances from countries she lived in when she was like 10. Firstly, it takes a long time.
Yeah.
And it costs. It does cost money. You need a scan of your passport. You need a passport scan picture.
Lots of little things that all cost money.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
Yeah. Put some money aside for your application process.
Yeah. In New Zealand, you don't want to be caught when you return having to pay tax on all of your overseas income. So a process that you do need to go through is signing off that you're now a non-resident, because you don't want to be snapped up when you get home.
Did I do that? What to expect when you're when you get to the country and when you're starting at the school. So the first thing that happens is you have about 10 days to 2 weeks of stay in a hotel a lot of the time before you find your apartment or house or whatever to move into.
Yeah. And in that time, it's a non-working time, which is kind of nice. You've got some time to kind of feel out the space. And like Santi said, ideally you're looking for your apartment in that time. So you can find what's close to transport, how far away is it from school, is it near a grocery store? So little things like that. You've got the time to do it. And even just climatize, like this place.
Woo!
And then you meet people. So
yeah,
everyone who is joining at the same time as you at the same school will be in the hotel for about the same amount of time so you can meet other people before you even get into the school.
Yeah, one tip though is depending on the country you're moving to. For example, Singapore's housing market is insane. Do not expect to come and find a place immediately within those 10 days to 2 weeks that you're in a hotel stay. If you're moving to a country like Malaysia, you can find a place really quick, but Singapore is insane. You want to be looking 2 months before you move, and you want to be in contact with your school's agent in that time to look for a place.
Yeah, because you can look for a place and find a place, but it might not be ready for the next 3 months.
Yeah.
So, yeah, timing is really big when it comes to your apartment.
The next thing is deposits for your apartment. You're going to need like 2 months at least.
2 months deposit, 1 month in advance.
For example, in Singapore, if your rent is $3,000 a month, you're going to have to give $9,000 up front.
Yes.
6,000 of that you'll get back.
Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see. So get your deposits ready before you move.
But also is your utilities, so your power, water, gas, you have to set that up yourself as well. And that was another $500 on top of.
Yeah, so just think about those costs before you move overseas. What else can you expect from that orientation week?
We were lucky to have mentors.
And then once you're done with your hotel stay, you start school. Usually you'll have at least one day where it's just the new staff that start and you're into it. All right. And that brings us to our last segment of our episode about teaching abroad. And these are our quick fire 5 tips on how to be a good candidate when you're looking for a job.
Okay.
Some schools are in high demand. So these are the 5 things you're going to want to do or adopt to be a standout candidate.
Yeah. Firstly, you need to be presentable. So a lot of schools for males are looking at, are they wearing a shirt with a tie? And for women, skirts or dresses. You're not showing that much skin either.
No, you don't want to be going with like the spaghetti strap, and you don't really want anything above the knees. And, you know, some people might say, why?
Doesn't matter why.
The second thing would be to be open-minded in the sense of there are countries and schools that are in the most demand, like Singapore, Dubai, everybody's wanting to move there. But if you are struggling to kind of get a job in one of those places, be willing to look out of the box a bit. Go to a smaller school or a country that might not be right up there on the list, and more likely than not, you will get a job there. Yeah. Third thing is you want to be enthusiastic and you want to be proactive within your school community. You help out, you volunteer, you've got a good attitude. So yeah, be enthusiastic as a teacher. If you don't like children,
what are you
don't
doing?
teach. Don't teach.
If you take one thing away from this podcast, if you don't like children, teaching's not for you.
Yes.
Number 4 is to have that thing about you that makes you you and unique and like exciting for a school to want to have you in their environment. So dancing is one of mine that like principals love. And then because now I'm helping run the musical in our school, so they kind of see that as like that's a great opportunity for the staff member to give back to our school.
I don't actually have a hobby that is particularly like I have sports that I can coach, like netball and touch and whatnot. But I was going to say like a curriculum area that you're interested in. I think that like maths and science, if you are somebody who genuinely has that passion, you're going to stand out because a lot of people don't have a passion for that area. So if you do, talk about it and let them know. Yeah. You want to have a little something about you that stands out.
And lastly, the 5th one would be to make sure that your CV and your online profiles have professional photography. So make sure you've got some kind of business looking image of yourself rather than like a cute little selfie. You've got kids in the background or you're doing like a fun art activity. That's great to have on your profile, but not your main picture.
It comes back to our first point of being presentable. Like, be presentable in person, but also be presentable online. Yeah. Have you put some effort into that? Is it tidy? Is it concise?
Yes.
Do you have some nice pictures?
Yeah.
because that's always nice as well. And that's the end of our Teaching Abroad episode. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you next episode for a Singapore special.
Peace.
Peace out.